Aloha and welcome to today's virtual info session for the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science Fellowships. My name is Kristen Connors and I'm from UH Manoa's Graduate Division. I'll be your moderator and technical support for this webinar. Today's webinar is co-sponsored by UH Manoa's Center for Japanese Studies. We're delighted to have special guests joining us from the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science San Francisco office. They'll be sharing information about fellowship opportunities through their organization and step through the application process. We'll then use any remaining time to take questions from the audience. So I'd like to begin by turning things over to our lead panelist, Abby Hughes from JSPS San Francisco. Abby, would you mind introducing your colleagues today?
Aloha, everyone. I'm Abby Hughes, the liaison officer here at JSPS San Francisco. Mahalo for having us today. I hope I'm using these all correctly. We want to thank Kristen Connors, Fellowships, Scholarships, and Professional Development Coordinator at the Graduate Division, and Dr. Joanne Pan, Center for Japanese Studies Associate Director, for helping us in planning and promoting this session. We couldn't do it without you both, and we're very grateful for your help always. We're going to have a brief introduction of JSPS and its mission from our Deputy Director, Masaki Tamada, and then one of our International Program Associates, Chihiro Shiraishi, will cover the different funding opportunities available from JSPS, focusing on eligibility and application procedures. And then we'll take questions, as Kristen said. So I will turn it all over to Tamada-san.
Thank you, Abby. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Masaki Tamada. I am the Deputy Director of the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science San Francisco office. I'm very happy to have this information session. Thank you for very much to Kristen Connors and Dr. Joan Penn, for helping us with this session. JSPS, which stands for Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, was established in 1932. JSPS is now the largest funding agency for academic research in Japan. Our agency can be described as the Japanese version of NSF, NIH, or SSRC in the US. JSPS supports creative and pioneering research from basic to applied fields and covers all research fields such as humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and more. Our headquarters is in Tokyo, Japan. We have 11 branches all over the world. In the United States, we have the Washington, D.C. office on the East Coast and our San Francisco office on the West Coast. Each year, JSPS provides fellowships and bilateral cooperative opportunities for researchers from other countries to come to Japan and for Japanese researchers to go abroad. JSPS hopes to increase Japan's connection to other countries through research. We have 21 alumni communities worldwide with over 7,250 members. The World Premier International Research Center Initiative, WPI, was launched in 2007 by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology in a drive to build within Japan globally visible research centers that boast a very high research standards and outstanding research environment. These centers are given a high degree of autonomy, allowing them to revolutionize conventional avenues of research operation and administration in Japan. 18 research centers around Japan are tackling great challenges in order to establish high visible research centers, which attract top-notch researchers from all over the world and further improve the quality of science and technology. Here, I will turn it over to Shiraishi-san.
Thank you, Tamada-san. Hello, aloha. I am Chihiro Shiraishi, one of the International Program Associate at JSPS San Francisco office. Here is the agenda for today. We will mainly talk about our fellowships programs. There are fellowships for graduate students, postdocs, researchers, and faculty members. This is the basic outline of fellowships to Japan for overseas researchers. We provide several types of fellowships so that you can find the most appropriate one for your career stage. Remember, all of these programs are open to all research fields. Each of the fellowships have different amounts of slots and duration of time. Applications are evaluated by those in your field based on the academic value of your research plan. For pre or postdocs, JSPS provides three different fellowships programs: short-term PE, short-term PA, and standard. Pre-docs are those who are within 2 years of graduating with their PhD degree. Short-term PE and short-term PA both have a duration of 1 to 12 months and standard 12 to 24 months. The terms of award for all of our fellowships include a round-trip air ticket, monthly maintenance allowance, and insurance. Let's talk about eligibility. Candidates for short-term PE must be citizens or permanent residents of the U.S. or one of the countries listed here. If you have been researching in one of the countries listed here for 3 years or more, you are also eligible. Short-term PA candidates must be citizens or permanent residents of an Asian country such as Cambodia or the Philippines or an African country. You must be receiving your PhD within 2 years or have received it within the past 6 years. Candidates for the standard program must be citizens of a country that has diplomatic relations with Japan. You must have your degree before arriving in Japan and cannot have received it more than 6 years ago. Open recruitment and nominating authorities are the two ways you can apply for our fellowships. Faculty members and short-term PA program applicants can only apply through open recruitment. Through open recruitment, your host researcher ultimately submit the application to JSPS through their institution in Japan. For the short-term program, there are 3 recruitment periods in a year. The next deadline is January 9th, 2026. By the time your host institution has to submit your application to JSPS Tokyo, please check with the host institution for their internal deadline. It could be a month earlier than what our deadline is. For the standard program, there are 2 recruitment periods in a year. You must want to aim for the next deadline, April 28th, 2026. It is never too early to start to fill out your application. Now, let's take a look at the invitational short-term and long-term programs. The invitational fellowships are for experienced researchers such as professors, associate, and assistant professors. Other researchers who have 6 or more years of research experience after receiving their PhD can also apply for this fellowship. The short-term invitational program is from 14 to 60 days, and fellows are expected to hold discussions, give lectures, and attend seminars in Japan. The long-term invitational program is from 2 to 10 months and fellows are expected to conduct joint research with house researchers in Japan. Here, you can see the recruitment schedule for invitational fellowships. Normally, short-term has 2 rounds of recruitment a year, and long-term has 1. The next deadline for short-term is April 28, 2026. Again, please check with your host institution first. Here's what you will probably need in an application for a JSPS fellowship. First, complete an application form. You will also need a letter of recommendation from your supervisor. If you are a PhD student who will not graduate before arriving in Japan, you will also need an official letter that states that you will finish your PhD within 2 years. Finally, you will send this information to your host researcher who will fill out their own application form and submit it all together to JSPS. Next, I would like to introduce JSPS summer program. This fellowship program is for early careers researchers, for example, graduate students, pre and postdocs. You do not have to be enrolled in a PhD program for this program. So, master's student, this one is for you. Let's look at the overview of this program. The period is 2 months in summer, and you can conduct collaborative research and explore Japanese culture. Eligibility. First, be a citizen or permanent resident of the US. Again, researchers who have been here for 3 years should be eligible. And second, be enrolled in a university graduate program or have received a PhD within the past 6 years. Let's talk about how to apply to this program. First, find a prospective host researcher. Next, submit the application documents directly to the JSPS Washington office. They will select the appropriate candidates, and the JSPS headquarters will decide who should be accepted. This is the schedule for this year. The deadline for you to submit your application is December 3rd. After arrival in Japan, the JSPS headquarters organized a 3-day orientation program, which includes Japanese language lessons and cultural experiences. After the orientation, the fellows will move to their host institutions. During your research period, you will conduct your research and enjoy daily life in Japan. At the end of the period, fellows will gather again for research report presentation in Tokyo. Please check the Washington office website for more information. The first step in a successful application is having a host researcher in Japan. Research map, JGlobal, and Kaken grants may be helpful in finding researchers working on similar research topics to yours. When reaching out, feel free to mention that you are interested in applying for a JSPS fellowship. You can also check on our headquarters website if a university is eligible for hosting. There's no official way to find a host researcher. Our advice is to leverage your connections and proposal networks to find a researcher in Japan who may be a good match. Keep in mind that your host researcher doesn't have to be a Japanese national. Like all world-class research institutions, Japanese universities and labs are made up of invitationals from around the world. JSPS alumni communities can also assist by sharing their experiences in Japan. If you are interested in connecting with alumni, you can contact the JSPS Alumni Association by visiting their website. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about our other international programs. These are generally for more experienced researchers. First is a bilateral cooperative program. You can apply for open partnership, joint research projects, or joint seminars. JSPS provides funding to Japanese researchers in this program, whereas their counterpart researchers are expected but not required to secure matching funds on their own from any funding agencies. For your information, the successful application rate has been around 25% recently. This is our multilateral collaboration program, the Core to Core program. Here, JSPS funds the Japanese side of multilateral initiatives created by universities and research institutions to create partnerships of world-class research hubs. Each project is required to have 2 or more partner countries and matching funds is required. JSPS also supports early career researchers in Japan to research abroad. Professors, if you are considering research with a Japanese institution and you would like to invite excellent young researchers from Japan to your lab, please consider this program. The Overseas Research Fellowships program is for postdoctoral fellows. Please note that the application must be made by the postdoc researchers in Japan. Here, I will turn it back over to Abby.
Thank you so much, Shiraishi-san. She did a great job explaining so much information. And I'm sure you have lots of burning questions. But before we get into that, I'd like to introduce alumni speaker for today. I'd like to introduce Dr. Sachi Edwards, lecturer of sociology and educational foundations at the University of Hawaii Manoa, so right in your home. She got her PhD in the University of Maryland and her master's degree again at University of Hawaii Manoa. She received her her postdoctoral fellowship for JSPS in 2019, and the host university that she was at was the University of Tokyo. So Dr. Edwards, if you would be so kind as to share about your experience, we'd be very grateful. And it's a pleasure to meet you on Zoom.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me and for the introduction. As Abigail said, I completed or I got a JSPS postdoctoral fellowship in 2019 at the University of Tokyo. So that was a 2-year fellowship. I spent the full 2 years doing that. My research was focused on the internationalization of higher education in Japan. Japan is pursuing various internationalization efforts in their higher education system. Actually, JSPS is part of, offering these postdoctoral fellowships and other types of fellowships is part of that effort. And so what I did was went around to different universities throughout the country and spoke with the various staff and faculty who were involved with these internationalization efforts and tried to understand it a little bit better. I was especially looking at what are some of the unique ways that Japan engages in internationalization that maybe are a little bit different from the ways that other countries are engaging in internationalization. And so, yeah, I really had a good time doing that. As some of the other speakers said, that there's quite a bit of flexibility. I felt like I was given that flexibility to go out and do that. I had a really good working relationship with my supervisor, so he was available to support me in any way and to mentor me, but also gave me a great deal of flexibility to pursue the research in the way that I wanted to, and helped make connections for me to go out and set up these various site visits and interviews and things like that. So I was there and I did that for 2 years. And through the process of making all of these connections, I would like to say that it contributed to me getting a tenure track professorship at a university in Japan. So I spent 3 years at another university in Tokyo as a tenure track professor, and had a wonderful time there and really enjoyed that experience as well. I have since returned to Hawaii. I mean, this is my home. This is where I grew up, this is where I'm from, where my family is. So when I got the opportunity to return, it was really difficult to pass that up. And so I am back here in Hawaii now working at the University of Hawaii. But it was had such a good time, and I really enjoyed my time in Japan and would always thinking about ways that I might be able to go back at some point to do more research. Um, in terms of potential advice that I can give, is just to try to make connections, and to reach out to professors and other researchers in Japan who are already doing work that you're interested in, and find out ways that you might collaborate. I actually applied twice for the JSPS fellowship. I didn't get it the first time, but my supervising researcher that we kind of collaborate on the application, or at least he was aware of my application and endorsed my application. I didn't get it the first time, but he said that the feedback was really good. And so what we did was we continued to collaborate, and I applied again. And I got it the second time. And I think, that a lot of it had to do with the fact that I further established my networks in Japan, and demonstrated, my ability to do the research because I had already kind of begun to start that research. And so if you can reach out to faculty in Japan, maybe start working on any collaborative projects you can. In my opinion, I think that would benefit your application. I think that's about it. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwards, for sharing your experience. It's crazy to me because if you received your fellowship in 2019, then you would have been there during the pandemic, and I'm sure that that was an experience.
Yes, it was. Being in Japan during the pandemic was very interesting, but also very unique, because for a long time, the traveling into Japan was very difficult, right? And so there were not tourists in Japan. And so being there at that time, yeah, it was a very unique experience. I quite enjoyed being there during that time. But yeah, it was unique for sure.
Thank you so much. And then it's so impressive to me to hear that you received a tenure track at a Japanese university. And I guess, how did your connection from JSPS how did that come about, I suppose?
How did my connection to JSPS come about, or how did the professorship come about?
Yeah, the professorship. My apologies.
Um, well, I mean, I was able to, I saw the announcement. I mean, somebody sent it to me, right? Because they knew that I was looking for what was next after the fellowship. And they sent it to me. And so, I'm not totally sure that I would have known about it. I wasn't even sure at that time if I was looking to stay in Japan. But somebody sent it to me, told me that they thought I would be a good applicant, and so I applied. And perhaps also because I had already made a connection with somebody at that university previously through my research, that I wasn't known to the department where I applied, but I was known by somebody else in the university. And so, I was able to get advice and talk to people. And so I don't know how much it helped that I was there, but I think it did because I was able to, I knew people to reach out to and ask questions and get advice. And yeah, so I kind of went into my application uh, feeling a little bit more prepared and more confident and knowing people. Who were there and who could give me advice. So that I think helped.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. If you don't mind, I'd love to keep you on up here as a
Sure.
panelist for people to ask questions at the end if you feel comfortable answering any of these. Um, Next, I kind of threw him on the spot a little bit because I know him and actually helped him receive his fellowship, as in we asked a lot of questions to he asked me a lot of questions on how to get it, but I want to introduce William Wolf, or as I affectionately call him, Billy. Um, he is a College of Education, COE, Department of Education Foundations, EDEF PhD student, and is about to get his PhD. He's going to defend his dissertation in December. So I'm really excited for him. He received his postdoctoral fellowship in 2023, and also was at the University of Tokyo. So, Billy, if you wanted to share just a few words about your experience as a JSPS fellowship, we would love to hear about it.
Sure. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
So I was in Tokyo at the end of 2023 and into 2024. Well, I should say I was there 2024 until early this year. I came home and it really helped me with my research a lot. Um, so you mentioned my dissertation, and I actually just finalized it today. And I was going through and I was looking at my original proposal, and I had I think like six uh, participants. I was planning on six participants, and I ended up having 15 because I was able to go to Japan through JSPS. So it really helped a lot. It made it just that much better, and it was a really good experience. And like it my my project wouldn't have been as deep as it was able to be without being able to go thanks to JSPS.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can you elaborate a little bit more on your research project? I mean, you're going to be defending it very soon, but maybe the
Yeah,
audience would be interested in hearing it.
I was interviewing foreign teachers around Tokyo, and the I mean, I was introduced to them through my host professor as well. My host professor introduced me to somebody at the American Embassy, and then they introduced me to some teachers, and it just really snowballed from there. And one thing I wanted to say that I didn't get to mention was Shiraishi-san said it's never too early to start preparing to apply, and that's definitely true. There's a lot of forms and a lot of things that can come up, so it's really never too early to start.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure that
Thank
we'll
you.
have people asking questions of you um, as we continue into the Q&A section. Terribly sorry. So I'll hold on to you for a little bit there too.
Sure.
Um, so if anyone has any questions or would like any more information and you don't feel comfortable contacting us in the Q&A, you're more than welcome to email us at sfo/dash fellowship@overseas.jsps.go.jp. You're also able to see all of our fellowships in a pamphlet by scanning the QR code or by visiting our websites. Thank you so much for letting us share that information. And we normally post when we have things going on. So please follow us on our social media pages if you're interested. And then I think we're about to open up the floor for questions. So I'm going to hand it over to Kristen again. Thank you so much for letting us share.
Yes, thank you so much, Abby, and to the rest of the JSPS Fellowships Office, and to Dr. Edwards and Billy for joining us as well on sharing your experiences. So we do have some questions from the audience. The first question is, if I'm finishing my PhD in December 2026, when is the best round to apply for the standard postdoc position? Soon after that.
Every year, the rounds are almost exactly around the same period. We haven't had major changes in the application dates, the close dates. So my guess is that you can apply for the the August 29th, 2027. If I'm under, maybe, yeah, 2027 or the April 28th, 2027, right? So it'll be December after. You're
Yes,
saying
I
it'll
think,
be December
yeah, if they're
2026.
planning to graduate December 2026, they wouldn't be eligible for the one highlighted on the slide.
Right.
But they have to apply for the one in the following round, correct?
Yes.
So that they could go during spring 2027
Yes.
to possibly early fall 2027.
Yes.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then they would want to apply for the April.
Well, and maybe this is a good thing to clarify in regards to eligibility for postdoc. So do you consider someone eligible once the degree is on their record, or as soon as they do their defense, if they were to submit a letter saying that they've completed all work, they've defended successfully, does that qualify them to apply for a postdoc in the standard program?
I think it needs to be the degree has been conferred. So, and I think that now that I'm talking about it and I have made bungled and made an entire mess of it, that if you have your PhD not by the time that you're applying, but by the time that you land in Japan, you're eligible. So you might receive it in December 2027. December 2026. And if that's the case, you'll probably want to do the August 29th, 2026 application because your period of arrival would be the next fiscal year, April 1st, 2027.
Got it. Yep, that sounds right. Okay,
I got
thank you.
there. We got there.
Okay, and this next question is really good. What factors are most important for a successful application? Is it publication, service, the proposal itself, applied aspects, community work, or as Dr. Edwards was talking about, does it really help to have all those connections that you're building within Japan?
Right. Wonderful question. So the proposal is incredibly important. And so that is what you will be reviewed on. So you don't have to have any publications it's good if you have some, obviously. But if this is your PhD and you're just working on one for the first time, a publication you don't have any yet, I don't think that disqualifies you. But what is most highly looked at, and Professor Edwards and Billy, you both applied, so you guys can speak a little bit more what you thought was most important in your application. But I really do truly believe that it is the proposal itself and what you're planning to be doing in Japan. But Dr. Edwards, do you want to speak on this topic at all?
Yeah, I think what you propose to do is the most important thing. I think that why I think that working to deepen my networks in Japan helped me in my case is because it contributes to me the argument that what I would propose to do is feasible, right? I think that feasibility, like, can you do what you said you wanted to do, is a big part of it, right? Because if you propose something that is just kind of way, um, too ambitious, maybe, or like too impossible to do, then I think that might impact the way that it's judged. And so because I was proposing to kind of go out and talk to all of these different people at different institutions across the country, for me, it really helped to demonstrate that I do have an established network that both I can draw on and that can continue to introduce me to more people. So I think that what you propose to do and whether or not you can uh, develop a convincing argument that it is feasible, that you can actually complete what you say you're going to complete, I think is really important.
Thank you for sharing. And then, Billy, do you have anything you want to say about this? You don't have to, it's up to you.
It's a little hard for me to say as an applicant, but I think that I mean, obviously be, Japan focused, right? Like it's not what I did wasn't something that could have been done elsewhere.
Right.
So it was really integral to my research, and I did my best to make that represented in my application.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think that is really important. Like when you're writing your proposal and, completing your application, that the need comes across. Like I don't just want to go to Japan or I don't just want to go anywhere, but I need to be in Japan to get this done. This is important for Japan and important for the US or for me, specifically my research. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, my study wasn't like a study that happened to take place in Japan. It was like a study focused on Japan, and I think that kind of goes to what you're saying.
Right. We've also had people do collaboration research and research that's focused on STEM. And so the reason why they're there is because their host researcher is the best in Japan in their field or something along those lines. But to reiterate the point, the most important point is the application proposal. Why you need JSPS.
Yeah. For those who are currently enrolled in master's programs, which JSPS program is appropriate for them to apply for?
Perfect. Let me go to my summer program slides, which are right here. Master's students are eligible for summer program. Master's students are not eligible for any of the following programs. JSPS really pushes for PhD candidates, and PhD holders. So master's students, you should be most interested in the summer program. And it is crucial if you're interested in going for August or for the summer program in 2026. It's important for you to start looking at that now because the deadline is fast approaching. And
Thank you.
then, yeah, go
Yep,
ahead,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead, Abby.
I just saw it says I'm an international student from Japan doing my master's at UHM. Unfortunately, if you're from Japan itself, we do not provide fellowships for Japan itself. For Japanese nationals, um, to come to the US unless you're enrolled in a Japanese university.
I think you were telling me that faculty who are Japanese nationals may be eligible to apply for research fellowships. Is that correct?
That is correct. They would have to be living in the US for 10 years to be eligible. So conducting research, doing research here in the US for 10 years, they are eligible.
Got it. And then if someone is trying, so again, someone's trying to figure out the timeline for eligibility. So you mentioned that you have to finish your PhD within 2 years. Is that 2 years of time from time of application or 2 years from when they would start the fellowship program?
I believe that it has to be at the time of application.
Okay, and then the next question is, are researchers or graduate students required to relocate to Japan to be eligible for a JSPS fellowship? In other words, if they are able to collect data from Japanese participants remotely, would they not be eligible to apply?
Purpose of JSPS is to deepen relationship between wherever the applicant is coming from and Japan, but JSPS is expecting said person to come to whatever host university and the host researcher to connect and collaborate with the host researcher in person. So I believe that no, this project would not be eligible. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Got it. Okay, and then another question is, will the new Prime Minister and her views on foreigners in Japan affect the JSPS fellowships into the future?
I do not have a crystal ball. So while I want to say that it will not be affected, I truly don't know. And it's quite early into this prime minister's tenure. So right now we're not really sure what her focus is, but JSPS has been around for a very, very long time. And while it's government funded, it is not government oversight. So it's paid by Japanese people taxes, but it's not exactly under the government. So I believe that it operates with a certain level of autonomy and in that sense has a bit of freedom and safety. However, I am not part of headquarters and can't say if a shutdown, for us is imminent or anything like that. But I think the fellowship should be fine into the future. I hope that's a sufficient answer.
Thank you. Well, I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. Is there any last piece of advice that you would want to share from any of the panelists or any last things that you think are helpful for applicants as they prepare for the next round?
I think most important, if we didn't highlight it already, is to reach out and find a really good host researcher. The connection that you make serves as your bridge into JSPS. They will be helping you fill out the application as the application on the Japan side is completely in Japanese. So you don't have to worry about it, but it is something that, you're going to want a strong collaborator who is basically willing to take up your case. And so although both of our alumni participated at the JSPS fellowship at University of Tokyo, it's not the only university that you can get a host researcher from. There are many wonderful universities from all over the Japan. I don't know why I was about to say the US, but there are also researchers who are not Japanese nationals. If you feel more, if you're looking for somebody who does your research and is not a Japanese national, there are plenty of professors in Japan who aren't Japanese as well. Your level of Japanese is not something that will affect you. In your application, nobody is going to judge you for not speaking Japanese. And most universities have, a lot of English usage. So you don't have to feel uncomfortable about your level of Japanese. And I think if you're even considering it, just go for it because you never know what doors it will open for you. I'm sure Dr. Edwards never expected to spend any time in Japan. But she became a professor there for a few years. And so I think that you never know how a JSPS fellowship can change your life. And also, you don't only have to take one JSPS fellowship. You can go back afterwards. You can think of it almost as steps, as we have the different fellowships. So you can start with summer and then go on to short term and then standard and then invitational short term and then invitational long term. Once you've had a short term program, you cannot go back to summer program. And once you've had a standard program, I don't think you can go back to short term. So always try to do the one that requires the least eligibility requirements, I believe is a good way of saying it. It has to do with where you're standing in your research career, I suppose. And then even after invitational short and long term, if you're part of the alumni community for JSPS, then you have it's called Bridge Fellowship. You also have opportunity to return. But even if you've just had a short-term program and you were there for 6 months or 8 months, you can apply to be there for at least a year for standard program. So I would just say, give it a shot.
We did have one last question, which someone was asking if the slides would be shared. So we're not sharing the slides, but we have recorded today's session and we'll share a link to the video recording once that's available. So you can freeze, the playback at any point if you need to capture a QR code or pause and look at information again. So just wanted to share that. But I don't see any other questions. So I just want to say thank you again so much to our guests from the JSPS San Francisco office, our co-hosts from the Center for Japan Studies, and then our two guest speakers who are former fellows, Dr. Edwards and William Wolf as well. It's great to see that there's so many different opportunities for our graduate students and postdocs and faculty to find funding through JSPS and do their research in Japan. If you haven't had a chance, please click the link to our session eval. But mahalo to everyone for joining us. Please take care. And this concludes our session.
Thank you very much.